Okay, well, we are all set to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this evening's session, today's Garage Sale Masterclass. My name is Barbara, and I'm the General Manager here at Garage Sale Trail, so I'm going to be hosting today. Before we start, I'd like to begin by recognizing that we're hosting this session from Gadigal country and recognize the traditional owners of the countries you're all joining from, as well as any First Nations people present with us today. So today we are absolutely bowled over and delighted to have 200 of our best sellers from around the country dialing in for today's session. It's just a 1 hour session that we're covering today. Tips, tricks, and ideas to help you sell up a storm when your garage sale happens in just a few weeks' time. So first of all, we wanted to tell you what you're a part of. So you've all joined us at Garage Sale Trail, and we're delighted to let you know that you are one of now over 9,500 garage sales that are happening all over the nation in every state and territory across Australia on the 9th, 10th, and 16th and 17th of November. So you're part of something really incredible. Together, the impacts that we'll all achieve together are really quite fantastic in terms of the amount of stuff that will be sold and saved from landfill. So it's a huge thank you from us for being part of it and for making what we do possible and so very special. So we've got lots of different people joining today. We've got people from all over the country. We've got households that are hosting sales. We've got markets and car boot sale organizers. A very big welcome to you all. We hope today's really helpful for you. Before we kick off, I'm going to introduce you to the very small Garage Sale Trail team. We like to call them small and mighty. There's two of the team on the line with me today. We've got the amazing Liz waving at you now. So Liz, you may well know, she's the one on the end of your emails. While so often the emails will come from me, Liz is the one. If you've got any inquiries, questions, need support, Liz is always there to help and support you. And then we've got marvelous Melina. Melina works with all of our council partners around the country and is actually going to be your voice in today's session. So we've got a lot of people. So sadly, we're having to put you on mute, but please don't let that stop you sending us your questions, your feedback, your ideas, sharing your tips. And Melina is going to be your voice on this call, looking at your comments and feedback and sharing those as part of the presentation today. So what are we going to do? The big thing to watch out for today is the fire emoji. You'll see the fire emoji throughout the presentation today, where there's a really hot tip that's going to be really useful for you in planning and promoting your sale. But we're going to keep it pretty simple today. We're going to take you chronologically what you should do before, during, and after your garage sale. And we'll also ensure there's lots of time for questions. Big thank you actually to all of you on the line that sent us questions before the event. We've written all those down and we've baked that into what we're going to cover today. So hopefully you'll get that answered. And if it's not, keep on hounding us on the chat and we'll make sure we cover everything. And of course, if you have ideas, we know we've got some really excellent brains joining us from around Australia. So if you've got your own ideas and tips on what you do to organize your garage sale, share them with us in the chat box as well. So we're not doing this on our own tonight. It's not just Garage Sale Trail talking. We actually have an incredible expert. Nicola has done Garage Sale Trail for 9 years, almost the entirety of the program. So she's got a lot of garage sale experience. And you may well actually recognize Nicola, as she's been popping up a lot on our social media feeds, sharing all her tips for successful garage sale selling. So she's going to share those tips and more today. Welcome, Nicola. We lost her. We may come back to Nicola once we've found her. But
can you see me?
Oh, there she is.
Hello. Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone.
So good to have you with us, Nicola. So why don't you tell us a bit about the garage sales you've had in the past?
Well, I am addicted to the Garage Sale Trail. I clear my whole November every year so that I can host all weekend, both weekends. And this is, like Bab said, this is my 9th year doing it. And I love it. Even when it was COVID, I did the online ones. So yeah, I'd like to think of myself as a little garage sale professional.
Yes, you sure are. And Nicola's not just a garage sale professional. She also runs the most incredible online vintage store called Zaza Vintage that sells the most beautiful, bright, bright fashion. Really encourage you to have a look at it. So we've got 2 hats from Nicola, both as a professional vintage seller and as a seasoned garage sale seller as well. So you're going to get some really amazing tips from Nicola over the course of today.
You will.
So before we jump into it, just a quick thank you to everyone and all the organizations around the country that make what we do possible. As I said, we're a really small team. We really rely on the support of councils around Australia to make what we do possible, but also get the support of some fantastic organizations like eBay and the state government in New South Wales and Queensland. So it's thanks to them we're here. They make today's event and the whole program possible. So we're going to get cracking into the really juicy stuff for you, the stuff you've really come for. So as I said, we're going to start and we're going to go in chronological order and we're going to think about the things you need to do before your sale. So first things first, the first thing we should talk about is your listing on the Garage Sale Trail website. So that's the way that everyone who's on the Garage Sale Trail website is going to find out about your sale. So we need to make sure your listing, first and foremost, grabs people's attention. So over the next few weeks, and in fact, over the past few weeks as well, we and our council partners have been really busy doing lots of marketing and media and promotions to get people onto the Garage Sale Trail website to look at your sale. But we need to make sure in amongst those 9,500 sales that yours really sticks out. So we thought we'd share a few tips on that first. So first and foremost, make sure you have a look at your listing between now and your garage sale to check the days and the times and location are still the same. So make sure you're sending people to the right place on the right time. Once you've done that, we really recommend you add an about section on your listing as well. This doesn't need to be very long. It can be really short, but what that really helps with is it helps people understand a little bit more about what to expect. It gets them excited. Just give them enough information just to tease them in and get them to come along. We really liked some of these examples from last year. So from this year. So this is actually a seller in Melbourne who lives in a condo. Thought that was a very clever little pun, the condominium. So they had a bit of fun with theirs. And then we had this one, which talked really clearly to some of the really standout items they're selling. I thought the monkey costume, that resonated with me, as well as the mother's sparkly vintage clothes. And look, they're doing free tarot reading on the side. So doesn't need to be a lot, doesn't even need to be as long as this, but we highly recommend you add a short little section in your on your page to tell people a little bit about who you are, why you're involved, and what you're selling. Once you've done that, the last thing to maybe think about with your listing is your sale name. It's the one thing and the only thing people will see when they're on the national map, and that's where most shoppers will come to first. So it pays to have a name that really stands out. We've seen all sorts of crazy names over the years. So one of my favorites, not on here actually, was the Honey, I Sold the Kids sale. Thankfully, the kids were not sold, but you get the idea that a fun title, something that maybe talks to treasure or mystery and draws them in, it's well worth thinking about updating your sale name to get people clicking through and looking at your listing. If you don't know how to edit your sale or change things regarding your sale, it's really easy to do it on the website. Liz and the team is going to share a link right now in the chat box so you can easily get there. But all you need to do is log into your Garage Sale Trail account at garagesaletrail.com.au/login. Once you're in there, you'll be able to edit all the details of your garage sale in there. This is also where you'll go to access free promotional materials. If you're organizing a market or car boot sale, it's where you go to approve or decline stall holders and contact them. So that should be it's really your go-to spot for anything you need to do with Garage Sale Trail or your sale. So that's on listings. Once your listing's looking really good, the next thing and really the next thing to do from there is to think about how you're going to promote and market your sale and get the word out in your community. And that's relevant whether you're hosting a market or doing it at home. And look, we at the end of every garage sale trial, we survey every seller, and about 25% of sellers do that survey. And the one thing we learn is that every seller that does really, 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 really well has one thing in common. And that one thing in common is that they've done some really great promotions in their local community, as well as listed on the Garage Sale Trail website. And that might not be online, that might be offline. So I know there's some people on the line with us today asking about how do we promote offline. We don't do social media. There's lots of ways that you can be successful promoting offline as well. We're going to kick off with online, and then we'll move on to offline in a sec. So I think it's probably time to chat to you, Nick. If you found that promotions and how you promote your sale is a really important ingredient to how successful you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? Can you see me too? Yes.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have found that a lot. I noticed one year I wasn't as good with my posters, sticking up my posters around the neighborhood, and I was significantly less busy that year, and that I've only got myself to blame for that. So we will come back, as you said, to offline, but starting with online, I pretty much just use every free tool available. I use Facebook, I use WhatsApp groups, I make an event on Facebook and invite all my family and friends and ask them to even think of anyone else they might know that might be interested in garage sales. I make even a marketplace listing about my garage sale on Facebook Marketplace. And what else do I do? And of course, the Garage Sale Trail website. And I think that's about it online wise, and Instagram, because as I already sell on Instagram.
And look, so let's talk about social media a bit more, because there's lots of different ways you promote on social media. What's your kind of big tip in terms of, what do you use? You don't just, I've noticed you don't just use feed, you use your stories quite a lot as well.
I do. I use my stories. And like you said, Babs, giving a brief description of what you're selling and kind of even showing a few things of maybe like, oh, I'm going to be selling this, to get people excited. Somebody, might have something on that day, but then they might see something and be like, oh, okay, I need to go and buy that. I'm going to make the garage sale. I'll go there first before my other engagement. So I do. I use stories. I use Instagram feeds. I just scatter myself as far and wide as I can.
That's good. Really useful tip, that around what to share, because I think that can be hard to know how, what are you actually going to share in social media. And I think that's a great tip around, showing some of those really great items you're selling in the lead up, just to whet people's appetite, is a great one to do.
I normally also just kind of do an overall video of the garage too. Like, as I am selling a lot of vintage and I'm selling a lot this year, I'm doing a $10, like lots of $10 racks, because the aim of my garage sale this year is I want to cull and make space for more things. So I'll do, leading up, probably starting from now, but I'll probably go quite hard a fair few days before, maybe about a week before. I'll start videoing kind of the whole racks, so people can start getting excited about sifting through those racks and finding their bargains.
Yeah, okay. So you're starting mostly a few days. So 3-4 days before is when you'd kind of amp up your promotion on social media.
I'm going to do all the events kind of tomorrow online. But yeah, I found, well, I'll come back to offline later, but I found a bit closer to the day seems to work better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense, I think. And one of the really clever things I've seen people do as well is putting a reminder on their event. I saw Marrickville West Primary School are having a really big sale in the inner west of Sydney, and I saw they posted recently and they had a reminder that you could switch on, so you get do you get a notification when you do one of those?
You do, yeah. And just, I guess, so people put it in their phone calendars too and kind of block that time out.
Yeah. And what about buy sell swap groups? This is one of my favorite tips.
Yes. So I have a lot of local, everybody does, they have a lot of local to where you live pages, Buy Swap Sells. Even we have one, I'm in the Sutherland Shire, we have like secondhand Sutherland Shire and, rubbish on the side of the road, Sutherland Shire. You've got to think about your customer and the kinds of people that come to garage sales and what kind of groups they would be on as well. Even I'm on a lot of plastic-free Facebook groups as well. So, often people that are into the environment go to garage sales. They like to reuse, recycle. So yeah, I do. I post just normally one of the garage sale trail tiles I post on there and then put some info underneath or have a link to my garage sale trail advertisement. And what else do I do? Yeah, that's about it, Babs.
There's some really good stuff there to unpack for everyone. So social media is a great tool to use. I think that's kind of a key thing. Post kind of in the 3-4 days before. Consider doing things like videos showing what it looks like or pictures of the items, and tap into your local community groups, whether it's a suburb group or it's a more kind of interest specific group for people that are going to be interested in what you're selling. So things like those buy sell swap groups.
I just want to note as well, when I do the Facebook marketplace listing, I don't put my address. I just put DM me for address and then I give it to them on the day.
Oh, that's great point.
Yeah.
Really good point.
Just to be extra safe.
Yeah, that's really sensible. And what about, so you mentioned a little bit earlier that you do some things that are outside social media.
Yes.
So what are those things that you'd consider doing as well?
I'm a big poster girl. So, and one of my main tips with posters is to put them in places where a lot of people are going to see them. So especially if you're short on time or if you don't want to walk around and walk the streets, think about train stations, bus stops, busy cafes, anywhere that a group of people are standing around waiting, at the front of supermarkets. Again, with the thinking about your kind of customer, I sell vintage clothing. So I might put my posters at the front of yoga studios or cool cafes or places where I think my customers would kind of hang out and hopefully see my posters.
Yeah, great. And for other online channels, do you use things like WhatsApp chat groups? Have you got mums groups as the channels like that people could be thinking about using?
Yes, I do. I just even put it in my school group. I put it in my friend group. I put it in my Pilates group. I do. I've got no shame. Everybody.
There's no way anyone in the Sutherland Shire doesn't know that.
Yeah, I have been recognized a few times as I walk around. I just think I was a little bit nervous about it one year, but then I had a bunch of school mums come last year and it was really lovely. And we actually got a chance to chat and we made friends, and everyone actually has been asking me, are you doing that thing again where you open up your house and show everyone all your clothes? I'm like, yeah, I am actually.
And isn't that the truth? Like, people love to be invited to things. And I think, it can feel challenging posting about something again and again and again, or reminding people about things, but people only take in so much. And we certainly find with Garage Sale Trial, you have to tell people, 2 or 3 times to really get the message heard.
Yeah, especially this time of year, people are starting to get busy. They might not see it the first time. So I think only for a couple of weekends, and then they won't hear from us again till next year.
Yeah, exactly. So Mel, it looks like the chat box is sort of potting up a bit. Is there anything in there, any questions particularly regarding online promotion that we should touch on now so that we can cover what people are keen to hear about?
We've had a few questions specific to, we've had Adiba ask if we could speak a little bit louder.
Oh,
Yep. We've just had general questions. If did you want to do them now or maybe wait for them later?
Let's hold those ones. We'll make sure we cover those at the end. So just to kind of wrap up on online promotion, so it may not be everyone's bag, and that's fine. Often the kind of old school offline things like posters and letterbox slips work just, if not more effectively. But if you are keen on doing online, just to sort of wrap up on those tips, so definitely consider promoting on social media. Think about doing that in your feed and your stories, and be sure to tag us as well, because if you tag us, we'll also share it and make sure it reaches more people through our channels too. We love a buy, sell, swap group and a local neighborhood group. That's one of the hottest tips that comes from us every year. And we find those really effective because you're talking to people that live where you are. And in buy, sell, swap communities particularly, you're talking to people who are really interested in secondhand. And if you're not on socials, there's lots of other ways to promote on using digital or online things as well. So as Nick mentioned, WhatsApp chat groups are good. You could send an email. You could just go a bit old school and text friends and family and make sure they've got the date locked in their diary. There are lots of resources to help you with social media if it is what you want to do, if that is one of the kind of ingredients you want to add to your promotional plan. So you'll see on the screen now some examples of the ready-made tiles we provide for your social media feeds. I think the free beer one is Merle's favorite. I'm a bit of a fan of the very inexpensive department store. So you'll find those in your seller dashboard. Liz is sharing a link now to that seller pack, so you can access that and get access to all those resources straight away. So you can download those, screenshot those, and share those to your social feeds and buy sell swap groups. And if you're really up for it, you'll also find in your dashboard some Canva templates where you can build your own tiles and graphics. So we've had promoting offline. We've had a few little hints of how important this is. And let's be honest, with a garage sale, there's nothing almost more exciting, certainly to me, than seeing a garage sale poster up in your neighborhood. I love them. Everyone loves them, don't they? It's the thrill of not knowing what you're going to find. So offline promotion is really important. So if you can't do social media, and you only do one thing, we highly recommend you do some offline promotion in your community. So this is one of your key areas of expertise, Nick, I think, isn't it? Tell us all about what you do with your posters, where you put them, what you put on them, what are the bits of information you have to have on the poster you put out to the community.
Yes. So sorry, I did answer. I thought you said offline before, so I did start talking about my posters. So most importantly, a catchy title. This is my last year's one, but this year it's going to say $10, $10, $10. The dates that you are going to be open, very important. The time is very important, and do a time that you can make happen, because I always have people waiting outside when I roll up my roller door. So if you're not an early morning person, as I am not, that's why I start at 9 o'clock. Also, I think Garage Sale Trail recommended 9 to 2 as the most popular time. I do a description because I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to draw the right customer, and I want people to come that are looking for my kinds of items. So I do a brief description of what I'm selling. And of course, the address, and then I popped my social media stuff on there so that they can get a sense of the kind of style I am. So obviously bright, colorful, crazy. If you're somebody that's into white, neutral vintage, I'm probably not your cup of tea. So yeah.
Really smart, and a really good idea that you're matching yourself with your shoppers by telling them a little bit about what you're selling, and also giving them the opportunity to find out a bit more about you. And let's recap again on where you put them, because your tips on this blow me away around. You're really smart at thinking about, where are people gathering?
Yeah.
Where are the people that might want to shop at my sale, or where are they going to be? And I've heard you talk about things like train stations, or maybe bus stops, those sorts of places.
Yeah, exactly what you said, Babs. Just places that people are going to be standing around with time to read. So I find cafes really great. I also actually didn't say this before, but I ask a lot of my local cafes if I can put a poster in their window as well, so that it won't get damaged or taken down. And so many of them, especially if you're a regular customer, they're happy for you to do that. The other thing I've noticed is there's a lot of community notice boards at the front of supermarkets, if they're indoor ones. Where a lot of other people post garage sales and things like that. That's a great place to put a sign like this, because people that are into garage sales obviously look there. But yeah, just where you've got a lot of thoroughfare, I find there's no point putting it on a pole where one person might walk past it and see it. You want to kind of maximize the eyes that are on the poster and the info. And
when do you put yours up, Nick? When would you start to get your posters up in the community?
Well, last year I did do a week before, but I found due to weather and people just also seem to rip them down. So if you can, I would say a week before, and then again a couple of days before, or the day before. Also, very important the day of to put some signage around, whether it be the front of your house or at the roundabout. You know, we've all seen the cardboard box on the roundabout with the sign about the garage sale. Yeah, I think definitely the day of. And that's another thing, just jumping back to online, make sure on the day of you also post on your local groups saying garage sale today. Sometimes I see people write, are there any garage sales today? And, you know, yeah, we want them to see it and know it's on.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And anything else you do? Do you do letterbox drops? We know lots of people do those.
I have done in the past. I don't tend to do that only because I'm a little bit time poor, but I think if you'd love to have a little stroll, and again, I would probably focus on, depending on your area, of course, if there's big apartment buildings, that might be a better use of your time to letterbox drop apartment buildings rather than individual houses. But if you've got the time, why not?
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. The key thing is, if you do one thing from this, make sure the signage up on the day, and it's in busy places where people are going to see them. So think about where people are on a Saturday morning. Are they at sport? Are they at a cafe? That's why cafes, I think, are just so genius, because people are there on a Saturday morning. You want to be where people are going to be.
Sure.
So in terms of anything else, actually, Nick, before I move on in community, letterbox slips, posters, is that the kind of the key stuff you would do?
I think I've covered it.
Yeah. So we've done, so in terms of online, offline, I'm getting my off and online mixed up all over the show tonight. So definitely put up signs in your neighborhood. That's kind of must do. As Nick suggested, if you can, a week before, but certainly 2 to 3 days before. And most importantly, make sure there's something up on the day and it's leading people from busy roads and busy areas. There was some questions that came in actually pre-event around what to do if you live in a cul-de-sac or maybe a unit block that's quite hidden away. And the answer to that is it's all about signage and making sure that you've got signage in areas where there are people directing them to you. So again, Garage Sale Trail's got some resources for you. That link that Liz posted earlier will give you access to these letterbox slips and posters. So if you don't want to design your own, if you don't want to start from scratch, there's something you can use right there for you. So this is the hot topic, I think, Nick. Pricing and payments is the thing most people are concerned about. I think it's probably one of the hardest things when it comes to having a garage sale. So, and it's certainly, when we asked you guys for your questions, the number one thing you wanted us to cover tonight was pricing and what to do about payments. Can you also take card and non-cash payments as well? So let's jump into pricing, Nick. How do you do it, and is it important to price?
Thank you. Yes, pricing is very important. People get very scared to ask you for the price. So I really would suggest to price everything. I know that sounds daunting, but there's ways of doing it in kind of a group way that make it quicker and easier. As you can see, I price mostly by rack of clothing. So, and like I said, this time I'll be doing $10 racks of clothing. If you have more expensive things, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a different area. So I actually have a garden behind here that I open up and have fuller price things in the back in the garden that people can also peruse. With little things, little stickers are a good idea to write on the back of them if they're all going to be different prices. There's sticker charts too, where you can do, $5 everything yellow, $10 everything green. I've also done that and put them on hangers before if you don't want to have a whole rack of the same, if you're doing clothes, for instance, of the same price. Or you can do kind of all shoes this price, all t-shirts this price. Sorry, I keep saying clothes because that's me, but obviously homewares, it might be a bit different. You could have them on shelves with homewares maybe.
The key thing is keep it simple, isn't it? So, and make sure it's really clear to the shopper, because people get anxious, I think, and they're definitely more willing to part with their cash if it's really clear to them what things cost.
Yeah. You may have seen as well, for anything that I just want out of my life forever, Babs, I often have a free table out the front because that draws people in that might be just walking their dog in the morning as well.
That's a fantastic tip, isn't it? To have a free tip. Or, I mean, I've seen people also do lucky dips, where the stuff that they're not sure if they'll shift, they wrap up in newspaper, and it's, you know, it's $2 or whatever to do the lucky dip, and you don't know what you're going to get. And it just creates, it's so fun. It just draws people in and keeps them staying for longer.
But if you have quality things, I'm talking on a bargain bulk, you know, in that sense. But if you've got really special things that are worth a lot and you've done the research and you know how much they're worth, you know, price them what you think they're worth. And if they don't sell, you could always, you know, sell them. We'll come to this later, but you could always sell them afterwards on eBay or other selling channels.
Yeah, so let's talk about actually how do you choose your price, because this is hard. You know, it's quite a simple message to, quite a simple thing to come up with a pricing chart and to categorize things together. So you've got a rack of $20 or $10. How on earth do you decide what to charge people for different things?
Pricing is hard. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've had the vintage store for, you know, 7 years now too, and I still struggle with pricing. It's mostly also what you're okay with letting it go for as well, and also what the aim of your garage sale is. Whether it's to just get rid of things and cleanse and get it out of your lives, or if you want to make the most money, but you also run the risk of it not selling, you know, in a cost of living crisis. So one tip of advice I have is to look online to find similar things and compare the prices. You know, do yours a little bit under that. But yeah, pricing's a tricky one. Feel free to message me and ask me my opinion. I don't mind answering.
It's I think you've nailed it though. The key thing is you have to ask yourself, what do you want to achieve through your garage sale? If you want to clear everything and not be left with anything at the end, price it to clear, price it cheaply. There's plenty of people on the trail doing only $10 sales, you know, keeping it very, very low. But for the items that are really special, absolutely do your research. eBay, actually, you can if you go onto eBay, you can type in your item and look at what it's sold for to give you a sold item price. And that really helps you then to understand what it's selling for online, and perhaps price it slightly under that, but at least you've got a bit of an idea of value. And, you know, for the stuff that's really special that you're not sure if you want to price it for, absolutely put the price up, because, you know, and then you can wait and see whether you feel comfortable parting with it. So you've got to be comfortable with what you're pricing things at and really have a think, I think, about what you want to achieve. Let's talk about payments then. So that things are priced, they're nicely categorized. You can see what things cost where as a shopper. Do you provide other ways to pay? What are the ways that shoppers can buy at your sale, Nick?
Yes, so cash, obviously.
Yeah.
I also have a Square, as I do markets. So that's one of the things where you can tap your phone or tap your card. Babs, did you manage to find out whether you can get it the app?
I totally forgot to look at that. We will look into that.
Okay. You can buy the Square, but you know, you might not want to do that if you're just hosting the one-off garage sale. There is also PayPal offer a QR code, which, you know, we all got very used to QR codes in COVID times. And there's also Pay ID that you can set up with your bank prior to the sale.
Yeah, so the key thing, this is a really, really good tip, because you'll find we actually did some research last year, and the research we did last year showed us that most people don't carry cash. It's a staggeringly high percentage of people don't carry cash. And you want to make sure anyone who's passing by your garage sale door is able to buy from you. So if you can come up with some alternative ways to pay, we recommend you do. As Nick mentioned, there's lots of ways to do it. You can use PayPal, Pay ID. We'll share some details of how you do that in the chat with you now, so you can find out more about those options if you do want to go down that route. But cash is still king too. Plenty garage sales on the trail are cash only still. How do you sort out your float, Nick? That's the one thing I've always wondered about. How do you know how much to get? Do you just rock up at the bank? What's the process for working out your cash float?
Yes, so I do rock up at the bank, get $200 out, and then get normally 250s, and then do the rest in 20s, 10s, 5s. For me, this time with my $10, I'm going to make sure that I just have a lot of change if somebody gives me a $100 note, let's say. So yeah, but if you've got $2 items, $1 item, you might want to get a few coins as well. So it depends on your pricing. But definitely, yeah, you might lose a sale if you don't have the change for it. Another thing I just thought about with pricing as well, you could always do the 3 for you know, a price 3 for 15 or something if you want to try and get rid of things.
Yeah, and how do you deal with hagglers, Nick?
They do wear me down sometimes. It depends on the day. And again, it depends if I just want things gone or if it's really special. Sometimes if it's something I've just found and it's new to me, I'll be like, oh, it's really special and it's a really good price. I don't think so. But and normally people are really fine about it too. It's like you got to make it funny and you can't get upset. People will often at a market or a garage sale kind of say, can you do it for any less? Just to check sometimes too. Don't take it to heart or anything. Yeah, so sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on the item, I think.
Yeah, so you've got to be comfortable. Don't be forced into anything you're not feeling comfortable with, and it's okay to say no if you're not comfortable with what they're offering. So little wrap up on that. So when it comes to pricing and payments, definitely plan ahead to get a cash float. And as Nick said, you know, get a good mixture of denominations so that you can provide change to people. We highly recommend thinking about a cash-free alternative, something like PayID or PayPal QR code payments. And when it comes to pricing, the key thing really is to think about why you're doing it. And if it's to make money, absolutely price it higher. But if you want to clear your stuff, declutter it. And if you want to declutter and clear out, price it to clear. So Melina, off to the voice of everyone on the line. Is there anything popped up on the chat box that we should be answering?
Yeah, a few you've already addressed regarding pricing. So yeah, what payment options do you offer and accept? So you guys have already addressed that. Another question from Kylie: what is the safest and easiest way for sellers to make a sale to those who don't want to pay cash?
Good question. I think most people are tending to use get set up for PayID. But both PayID and PayPal QR code are very, very safe ways to pay. So we would recommend one of those two options. Do you agree, Nick?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got another question from Ivor Tora for Nicola. Do you find most people have a preference for one type of online payment over another?
Yes, I do, because I'm a big PayPal, for instance, I'm a big PayPal buyer and seller, so I'm quite comfortable with PayPal, but not everyone has PayPal, let's say. So yeah, I do think, but again, just arm yourself with both. Maybe download PayPal app now, so you're ready, and organize your PayID with your bank now, so you're ready, just in case.
Yeah, and you can see the example on screen is a really good example of a sale. I think it was a couple of years ago that we saw where someone had done this amazing chart. So as a shopper, you were really, you know, it talks again to that point around helping your shoppers feel comfortable and making it easy for them. They really nicely laid out the different ways you could do it, so they gave people options.
Are they with the QR codes on there too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Love
that. We've got another question from Lexi. Thoughts on a free if you buy something box?
Love that, Lexi. I'd be all over that.
Great idea. Really great idea. And please do keep sharing ideas in the chat too. We love to hear your ideas too.
So those are all the general pricing and payment questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Melina. Cool. So that wraps up the sort of section on what to do before your sales. So really keeping it super simple. It's a little bit of promotion, ideally a little bit online and something like a buy, sell, swap group, and in your community with things like posters, and then all about how you price and prepare yourself to take payments. So that's the kind of main stuff to be thinking about now as you build up to your day. Let's now turn our attention to what happens on your actual sale day, because I'm sure we've got some people on the line that have never had a garage sale before. Nick, should we talk about what happened? What do you do to set up? Talk us through what happens in the morning. What's happening in the Bates household on sale day?
Chaos. No, I'm joking. Well, I would say let's not just say the day of, because before the day of, I would hope that everybody has cleaned and mended and just made anything that you're selling, you know, shop ready. We want it to look like a store, like a retail store, pretty much. Then on the day of, I normally put some music on. I invite some friends over. I get a chair and water and snacks so that I'm hydrated and happy. Yeah, and just, make sure I'm ready for the time that I said I'm going to be, because as I said, every single time I roll up my roller door, there's people waiting there to pounce to be the first people to come in. But yes, that's it. Good morning.
So how do you deal with early callers? What's your approach with that? Because I know that's something people really worry about what they're going to do with people that come early.
It's a great feeling, because you know that your posters and your online things have worked and they've heard about your sale and they're here and they're ready to shop. Again, like retail though, I guess be friendly, be happy, greet them, but then kind of maybe move out of the space if you can. That's the one thing I'll say in garage sales. It does get a little bit pokey sometimes if too many people are in there. So I like to kind of stand at the front, or I'll go into my back garden. So still keep an eye on them, of course, but just give them a little bit of space, make them feel a bit comfortable, because people do feel a little bit, I feel like nervous sometimes, because they're kind of walking into your home sometimes and looking at your items. So it's a very personal thing. But, if somebody picks something up and let's say it was my mum's, my grandma's that I'm selling in my store, I might give them a little backstory and, have a little laugh with them and kind of put them at ease a little bit.
And in terms of, so you've got your set, we'll talk a little bit about merchandising in a sec, because I'm sure people are wondering about how do you display stuff, and but do you also do some promotions on the day? How do you make sure people know it's on, that
Yes.
might have heard about it before?
So I normally send my husband to go and check the and put some more up if they've fallen down or been taken down or been rained on. I do go onto my Instagram and I say, today's the day, everyone, come on down, blah, blah, blah. I actually normally do a bit of online selling through my Instagram too while I'm there in between customers coming in. And yes, then I'll also go onto Facebook and go into those groups that we mentioned earlier and say, garage sale today, Cronulla, blah, blah, blah.
I think I've got some pictures as well of it's very eye-catching walking past your sale. You're not going to go past those bright colorful frocks, are you? And so I think that we have kind of referenced this already, but signage on the day is super, super important, particularly important if you're in an area that's quieter, maybe you're in a cul-de-sac. You're going to want to have some directional signage, possibly. I think we've got some good examples coming up on screen, actually, of what we've seen people do. I really love the example on the right, because I think one thing that's really hard is printing. If you're printing something at home, it's hard to print it large format. And I thought, gee, this family was genius. They just printed one letter at a time. So smart.
I'm going to do that this year, actually. As I was looking at my sale, I'm like, I really should have written garage sale up there.
How good is that? It's just so simple and effective. So as I mentioned, directional signage, highly recommend. I mean, personally, I can't resist an arrow pointing somewhere. You can't stop but go and follow it to see what treasure lurks at the other end. Chalking the pavements, we've seen people do as well. That's a great activity to get. If you need the kids to help you, maybe they can help you with some chalking, directional signage as well, if you want to.
I love that.
I
love that. Eco-friendly as well. I don't like it when there's balloons and things that are going to fly away into the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. We're totally with you. I actually thought the pricing using chalk, hadn't thought of that before.
Genius.
Quite clever. And then let's talk merchandising. I've kind of given it away by flicking to this slide too quickly, but you're a bit of a genius merchandiser. How should we do it? How do we make our sale look like a store and make it easy for someone to browse?
Yeah, so definitely, like it says, grouping your categories together, I find. And I'll try not to just talk about clothes, because I know not everyone's selling clothes, but let's say if you're selling homewares, grouping all your dining together, grouping all your vases together. I just find it looks better. It also makes it less overwhelming in your head. You might be looking at all the stuff that you're going to sell and think, oh my God, how am I ever going to make this look good? Also using things that you already have around your house, like tables, stools. I've got random stools in there. I've got a little two-step that my kids use to step onto the bench in there. Like, yeah, just try a few things. I also have set things up, the night before or a day before to see how it's going to look if you are nervous about how you're going to merchandise it. But clean, hung, laid out like nicely so that everybody can see everything. What else have I got?
It shouldn't be necessary to buy anything to display. I mean, you had a really good tip in one of your videos, actually, Nick, around where you could source things like racks and hangers. And were you saying that sometimes the local community Facebook groups have those available?
Yes, and the side of the road. I've actually already been just grabbing a few extra things like little side tables or chairs that I'm going to use to display things. Just people throw so much stuff out. Yeah, you definitely don't have to buy anything.
No, you shouldn't have to buy anything. We do, and we've seen people use things like Hills hoists, like putting up some of their clothes on the Hills hoists, or you can see on the right there, just stringing a rope up to display things.
Yeah.
Ladders can be used. There's pretty much you'll as you start to look around your house, you'll start to find all sorts of weird and wonderful things that you never would have previously realized could be used to display your items at your garage sale.
And if you don't have hangers, you can just fold things. You could just fold pants on a table, or you don't have to hang it. It just
And what about like how do you keep how are you keeping all your cash and belongings safe on sale day? What are your tips for people around how to do that?
I wear a crossbody bag. I know a lot of my other market girlfriends wear bum bags, but I always keep it on me. I think just to be the safest. I have seen other people have those little lock boxes, but someone could always pick one of those up. Always also having friends there to just, got to have a couple of eyes on people. It is unusual, I think, for things to get stolen. I'm sure it does happen, but I don't think it's that common. And if it's really special and really, really expensive, you can do things like put invisible fishing line and tie it to something so that if they tried to take it, it would be stuck.
So a bum bag is your friend, basically. It's the essential accessory of the garage sale trail.
And
maybe we need a line of reusable bum bags made from scrap fabrics next year. Maybe that's my next project.
Yeah, I love that.
Everyone needs a bum bag or some kind of crossbody bag to keep your cash safe. So what about, do you do anything else to keep people browsing? I think you mentioned earlier that you play music. So what else do you have at your sale just to keep people there? How do you deal with people coming with kids? What sort of things have you thought about for?
I had the odd kid come and just jump on my trampoline. I don't know. I also do have a place for people to try things on too. If you are selling clothes, if you can manage that somehow, it does help make sales if you can work that into your garage sale. What do I do? That's about it, Babs. I just try and make it as fun and carefree as possible.
Oh, they've got you to hang out with. It's already fun. But music's a great one. It's really simple. Everyone can do it. But we see all sorts of things. I think mentioned earlier, we've got a lady doing free tarot readings. You can think about things like lucky dips. And we've got a little something to help you with adding some fun to your garage sale, which is coming up on a slide soon. So let's kind of recap on those ideas. So on the sale day, the biggest tip around merchandising is to organize things. What I think Nick does really, really well, and this photo is a great example, is organizing things by category or price. It makes it really simple for shoppers. They've come in, they know they're looking for books, they'll go to the book section, or they come in with a certain budget and they can go to the $20 rack. Make sure you think about using what you already have for displaying items. Most importantly, get big bright signage and arrows around the neighborhood and make it fun. We haven't covered this one actually, Nick, around this giveaway or reduced prices for the final hour. That's actually quite a good tip if you're trying to get rid of everything.
Yes, and especially if you are hosting garage sales both weekends as well, you could always try and see if it sells the first weekend. If it doesn't and you still really want it gone, you could lower the price the next weekend.
Yeah, and I've even seen people, if they really want to clear everything in the final hour, they post something to a local Facebook suburb group going, we're giving it away. Come down and collect anything that's not sold. So if you're really intent on getting rid of stuff, you don't want to pack things back up at the end, that can be a good thing to do.
I did see a couple of people writing before when we were talking about buy swap sales saying there's a few of them have rules and stuff. I've noticed there's a few pay it forward groups as well are around now. But I think, is this the next section, Babs, about what to do afterwards?
Oh yeah, we are coming into that next.
No, not before.
Merle, is there any questions around sale day that have come through that we should try and cover now?
Yeah, we had a question from Corlina who's asked, how do you hang clothes when you don't have movable racks?
Great one for you, Nicola.
Well, like Bob said, you're kind of just using your environment around you. So if you do have any kind of rope that you could string up, you could hang a few things. Bit tricky. Clotheslines. I hang a lot of stuff in my clothesline out there. Or again, don't hang it, just fold it, or you could even drape it on a table. Depends how much stuff you have.
Yeah, I think that's a good combo, isn't it? You can keep things on their hanger and hook them off things. You can use ropes or washing lines. And you see plenty of sales also with big boxes of clothes that you can rummage through as well.
Awesome. We've got another question from Julie Terry, who everyone has been waiting eagerly for a response for this one.
Oh.
So are there any restrictions or guidelines around selling electrical appliances?
Okay, great question. It's a tricky one, electricals. If in doubt, our recommendation is don't sell them. Ideally, electricals should be tagged and tested before you sell them. But that's really our advice would be if you are selling electricals, ideally have them tagged and tested. We do see people selling electricals from time to time, and we do see people providing things like a power plug so people can test them. Yeah, our recommendation would be skip it. Because it's probably the safest choice.
Awesome.
Anything else, Mel?
Around sale day, no, we'll just have more like general questions.
Great. Sounds like we've got a bumper section coming up.
We better
Check the time. I better hurry up. So party pack, we mentioned that we want you all to have lots of fun, and it's really important to inject some fun into your sale. So we have actually got a new and exciting asset for you all. We've got a party pack. Liz is going to send you a link in the chat now. But one fun idea you could do is to download the Garage Sale Trail Bingo and hand that out to your shoppers on the day and encourage them to play bingo at your garage sale. You'll also find a playlist in that pack as well. So if you're not sure what music to play, you'll find lots of fun secondhand related tunes on that playlist.
I love that. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it's a new one. Very new. So then after your sale, we'll do this section and then we'll get to questions. So if you've got questions you haven't yet popped in the chat, we'll get to those really shortly. So lastly, you do need to have a little bit of think about after your sale. And the key thing to think about is getting a plan in place for anything that doesn't sell. So most people, sadly, will have a few bits and pieces left over. That's to be expected. So if you've got good quality clothing and accessories left over, we obviously highly recommend thinking about listing on eBay. They are a fantastic partner of ours, and actually they've got some really good new data which shows that on average, people that are new to selling fashion on eBay will make between $400 to $500 in their first year selling on the platform. So if you're looking to make money through being involved with Garage Sale Trail, combining it with eBay can be a really good thing to do. If you're planning to donate to charities after Garage Sale Trail, we highly recommend you call ahead just to check what they're accepting. Op shops, all op shops are different in terms of what they need and don't accept, and always donate in store hours. And then lastly, if stuff's really come to the end of life or you've got no other option, check out what services your council offers. Anything you'd add to that, Nicola, in terms of what you do with things you don't sell?
Yes. So I have been giving things away for free on Marketplace, obviously, which goes well. I also have been finding pay it forward groups, like I said before, are really great because they're finding people who actually are a little bit in need and they actually need these items and they're very happy to have them. And there's other groups out there, you know, families fleeing domestic violence or people new to the country that, you know, are starting from scratch, that would just, you know, love your things that you're trying to sell and get rid of. And they're not too hard to find. I know that seems like a daunting thing to be like, oh, how am I going to find those kinds of groups? But again, online and little search or even just asking people on your local community pages. Yeah, most people will know someone in need that you can get your items to that will just make their day.
And there's an amazing organization called Give It, which matches stuff with people who really need it. So they're working with homeless shelters, women's shelters, and looking for all sorts of things from electricals to clothing to beauty products. So Give It's a great organization to think of at that point too, for matching with organizations that might need it and people that might need it.
Oh, no.
So it sounds like there's a lot of questions. So I feel like, Mel, we need to jump into what are the general questions people want answered while we've still got a few minutes.
Yes, they've been coming in very quick and fast. So first off, we've got a question from Lexi. How do you know where you're allowed to put up posters? Do you have to ask?
It's a tricky one to answer this because it depends on your council area in terms of where you can put them up. The general guidance we would give is wherever you put one up, make sure you take it down. That generally will protect you from getting into trouble. And I guess, Nick, the other thing is if you're putting it up in supermarkets or cafes, I guess you ask their permission when you're doing that?
I do. If it's a private place, I do ask, because there's no point putting it up there because it'll just get taken down. It's better to ask and actually get approval. The other thing I've noticed is where there's a lot of band posters that get put up, I kind of just put mine up next to theirs. So start looking around.
That's a great tip. So put it up where other people are putting up posters, and you should be pretty safe.
Yeah.
Awesome. We've got a question from Tracy, so who's had issues with buy, swap, sell sites, and she constantly gets declined due to not selling anything. Are there any tips on how to not get declined when she promotes her sale?
That's a tricky one, that actually, because every group's completely different. It might be worth switching rather than using a buy, sell, swap group, maybe promoting in a local community group instead, like one of your suburb groups. I know where I live, my local community group, just for my postcode, is very active and very happy for people to post things like garage sales. So I think try another group if you're struggling with one is probably my best suggestion. Anything you would add, Nicola?
No, yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, because a lot of those buy swap sales have rules that you actually have to be selling a particular item. But yeah, Babs, you're right. If you do a kind of general like area one, they seem to be fine with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Question from Michelina. My partner was thinking of having a sausage sizzle on the day. What are your thoughts?
We love a sausage sizzle. We love food being sold at garage sales. It's a bit of a tricky one if you don't have food hygiene certification, but the way around it is to provide it for free. So if you're not charging, no issues. If you are charging, you'll need to have the necessary council permits. Sorry, it's not a more there's not a more exciting answer than that, but that's the truth.
I think we've got room for one more question. A really good one that's just come in through from Michelle, who's asked, what do you say to people who rock up very early?
Yeah, Nicola, what would you say?
Well, tricky one, because my roller door is down until it's open time, so they can wait out the front all they like until it's opening time.
That's a perfect setup, isn't it? I think.
Sorry, Babs?
I just said that's the perfect setup, being able to just have them hidden behind a roller door until you're completely ready.
I think if you're ready to go, though, why not? You don't want them to drive off. Like, what's the harm? If they're early, they're keen. So I'd probably try and sell as much as I can to them.
Anything else, Mel? Have we covered most of the questions, or?
We've got a few more if we can quickly get through these ones. So we've got one from Carrie who's asked if it's too late to add additional days to her sale.
Not at all. You can edit any of the details about your garage sale right up until the day. So add days, remove days, whatever you need to do, you can do it all the way up till the end.
Awesome. Lisa has asked if we've got mail drop assets to help other people in her street get involved.
Oh, yes, we can actually. I'm trying to think. There's probably nothing in the dashboard yet, but we can absolutely add something tomorrow so that you can do that. But there are letterbox slips you can use for advertising your garage sale.
And Rhonda Denton has asked if she should pay for an ad in the local paper.
You certainly could, Rhonda. You don't have to. What would your position be on that, Nicola?
Look, I probably wouldn't. We're trying to make money, not spend money. I think there's enough ways of promoting it for free that you probably don't need to do that.
Yeah, I think that's right. Excellent. How are we doing, Mel? Are we pretty good on the questions?
We've got a few, but
maybe what we'll do is I'll just wrap up the presentation and then we can stay back. We can then let Nick get back to her family, and those that want to leave can leave, and we'll stay back and answer those further questions. So just a few takeaways on the screen today. Please don't feel you have to do everything we've told you today. We hope you just take away 2 or 3 ideas that can help you to be successful. The last thing we want to do is overwhelm you. But really the key takeaways are: make sure you promote your sale in your local community, and you can do that in a whole range of ways, as you've seen tonight. Make the pricing really clear. And make sure you get a cash float and offer some cash-free alternatives. They would kind of be our really key things to take away. So a massive thank you and round of applause for you, Nicola. You've been incredible.
Thank you.
And very generous in sharing your 9 years of experience hosting garage sales. So we really appreciate your support and love having you involved in events like this. So a big thank you from us, and I'm sure everyone on the line who's jumping in to say thank you as we speak.
Thank you.
And to all of you on the line, thank you so much too for being part of Garage Sale Trail. We wish you the very best of luck. We're right by your side. So you've met Liz earlier. She was waving at you. Here she is. She's in the dark. It's getting very dark in Sydney. We'll watch out for emails from us. We'll be sending you tips and reminders all the way up to your sale. You can reply to any of those emails to get through to myself or Liz. If you want to, you can join our private Facebook group. There you can meet other sellers and swap ideas with them. But anytime, please don't be a stranger. Email or DM us questions or feedback. Garage Sale Trail wouldn't be anything without you and your involvement. So we love hearing your feedback and your input. So we're always here. Feel free to get in touch at any time. So massive thank you from us to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Nick, who was just incredible. And for those of you that can stay, we'll happily stay and answer some of those questions over the next 5 to 10 minutes. To the rest of you, bye. Thank you so much for being with us. And we hope you have a really, really successful garage sale.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Nick.
See ya.
See ya. Maybe I should stop sharing.
Okay.
How many have we got, Merle? Have we got heaps?
Not heaps. Still just like a handful left.
Okay. Well, I think it's good. We can answer them and keep them on the recording for people then.
Yeah. So we have a question from Richard, who's asked, can you sell an animal fur which belonged to a relative and in excellent condition?
Yeah, absolutely you can. That's not a problem at all.
Okay. A question from Inga, can the kids sell homemade lemonade?
Yes, highly encourage it. In fact, we wanted to put a homemade lemonade recipe in the party pack, but we didn't quite get around to it. So yeah, we love a homemade lemonade stand. Great idea.
A question from Jody Yee. Are there any ready-made printable templates for posters and tools that can be downloaded?
Yes, there's heaps. So we will, when you log into your dashboard, you can access any of those. So there's both ready-made things you can download and use straight away, or if you're creative and tech savvy, you'll also find Canva templates where you can build your own posters and social media templates and all that sort of stuff. So there's heaps of that available in your dashboard. And if you have any problems finding them, just drop us a note.
Awesome. Those are all the questions that we had left.
Great. Awesome. Fantastic. And thank you to everyone who stayed longer with us. We're slightly over 7:36. Really appreciate all your support. Thank you for joining us. We hope today was useful. And as I said, don't feel you have to do everything. Hopefully you just take 1 or 2 ideas away from today that are useful for you in your garage sale. Stay in touch with us, post pictures of your sales, send them to us. We want to be part of your journey over the next 2 weeks and support in any way we can. So a massive thank you from us and very good luck on the trail. Night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.